everybody, Adam Rogers here again. Gonna go over another brand new tool we just bought and teach you all the safety things you need to know about it. So this tool right here is the Greenlee Gator LS50L2 knockout hydraulic battery set. So it's a really awesome tool. Crack her open here and see what we got. Powered by our Makita battery. We've got a brand new Makita charger. We've got two different sizes of draw stud, and this is important because to do this properly, you're supposed to cut out your 1/2 inch hole with this little guy first, and then you move up to the larger stud. The unit itself, most times you get one of these and you're pretty much stuck. It's stationary. You gotta, work it in. It's hard. This one has a swivel head, so you can get into a lot tighter areas and, just do your thing. So let's put this back in the case. And I've got a disconnect over here, a little splitter panel that we're gonna make some holes in. I'll show you some tips on how to make sure your holes are always where you want them to be. This kit itself goes from 1/2 inch up to 2 inch. And a lot of times we're running pipes, 2.5, 3 inch, 4 inch pipes. So we went ahead and we bought this additional set of cups and dies, which will accommodate your 2.5, 3, 3.5, and 4 inch holes. And it also comes with a larger draw stud. So let's get started. Before we get going with any of the actual work, we're going to make ourselves safe. Now, if you're on a job site, obviously you're going to want to have your hard hat, safety glasses, and when you're using a tool like this, you're definitely going to want to have some gloves to help with those pinch points. Most people are smart enough not to put their fingers where they don't belong, but always wear your gloves anyway. This is obviously something that we're going to be mounting on the wall, and we're going to be running multiple pipes into it. And when you're mounting something onto the wall and have multiple pipes, you're obviously going to want to put a piece of strut on the wall to keep everything, off and spaced. And in order to get it properly lined up so we know where the back of our hole is, we're just going to take a piece of strut like this, hold it flush down with the back, and we're going to make a line. And we're going to use pencil, not Sharpie, so it can wipe off, so everything looks clean when we're done. So now I know that the back of my hole is going to want to be on this line that I've drawn. So the next step we need to do is figure out what size hole that we're actually going to put into this. So we've determined for this little demonstration that we're going to use our 2.5 inch. So that'll give us each step with each particular draw stud that's in this set. Basically what we're going to want to do is hold this down. We'll line it up so that the back edge of our cutting die is right on our line. And we're going to trace around it, and we're going to make our hole. Now, we're going to take our Sharpie here, and we're going to make a mark right in the center. So what we're going to want to do now is make ourselves some crosshairs. So I've just got myself a little speed square here, and a pencil. Now the reason I'm doing this is if you look at this cup, you will see that there are 4 lines. They're all equal distance apart, which will form a crosshair that you can easily line up with here. So it's important that you get your crosshairs to extend out past your hole so you can line things up easier. And we're going to take our drill. We've already got our safety gear on, and we're going to cut our first hole. Okay, so that's just our first initial step. We're going to switch out to our step bit. And we're going to make this hole just large enough that we can get our first stud in there. So just a couple steps on the bit and we're good to go. Now we get to play with the tool. So if you look directly in here, you'll see that it's threaded inside, which will match our threads on our draw stud. And we're going to make sure that we screw this in all the way. If you don't have it all the way, what's going to happen is you're going to have this little shoulder sticking up, and you'll be putting a lot of pressure on the cup itself, which could cause it to break and explode in your face. You got safety glasses on, but that's not going to protect your teeth. So we'll get our 1/2 inch cup and die set. And you just sit it on like this. That's proper. Now, like I was saying, if you don't have this threaded all the way in, you end up with this sitting up like this, and it's going to put too much pressure on the inside of your cup. Now we'll open up our unit. We'll insert our draw stud. And we're going to tighten on our cutting die. Now I'm not too worried about lining up my crosshairs on this because there's going to be a little bit of room for play. So we've just got it hand tight. And now we're just going to pull the trigger. And you'll hear a couple of pops, and once it's popped, you'll know that it's releasing, and there's going to be a little bit of weight, so it could fall. 2 little pops. Now, this is your release button right here. Watch as I pull this down. The stud pops back up. Pop that off, and there's your little cutter, your little cutting trimming pieces. We're going to put those aside. We're going to put everything away for the 1/2 inch hole. And we're going to go up to our next draw stud. Thread it in the same way we did before. Now, you can use the 3/4 cup and die for this, but I prefer to go with the 1 inch because then it just gives me a little bit more room in case I wasn't dead on with my pilot hole. And then when I go to put my 2.5 inch one in, I still have an opportunity to make adjustments on my hole. So same thing, we're going to hand tighten this into position. And then we'll do a couple little adjustments to line up our crosshairs. Again, we're not too worried about this one because it's the big one that counts. 2 quick pops and it was ready to go. Again, we'll do the release and we can unthread that. And then we'll put this one away and we'll open up the extra kit we bought with our larger cups and dies. So from our extra kit that we purchased with our larger cups and dies, I mentioned we have a much larger draw stud, which you can see that's quite beefy, but this still has a smaller end which threads into our Gator. So again, we're going to make sure this gets threaded all the way down. And just to give you a quick show, it's sized perfectly. The tool was designed to accommodate the larger draw stud, so it still fits down into the slide. So we'll put on our cup. Same thing we did before. And we'll hand tighten our die. Now this one's a little more important to have lined up properly. So I'm actually going to set it here And I'm gonna actually line up my crosshairs properly. Which looks like I got them set pretty well. Give it a final little tighten there. And it's important to check all 4 sides of your crosshairs, because if you only have 2 lined up, it could still be askew. And there we are. You can see that our hole, the back end of it, is right on the line that we made. So now our connector will fit right in there. And it'll be perfectly lined up with our strut supports we're going to have on the wall, so we can avoid having any offset kicks in the bottom of our pipe. Makes it easier to pull, easier to install. So we've made our hole, it's time to put our tool away. It's important to make sure you always clean out your little cuttings and you put everything back. These tools are very expensive, and Power-Tek has been amazing to us buying all these tools for us. Hope you would treat them with the same respect you treat it with as if you bought it yourself. So we're going to put everything away in its proper place. And that's how easy that can be. So I hope that once again, this video has given you a good idea on how to use this particular tool, giving you a couple little tips and tricks to make things easier for your pipe installs. Make sure you keep your fingers out of the way at all times, and go out there and work safe, everybody.